Good morning. I can't go live on Facebook anymore, but I can do it from here. Let me just write something real quick. Sorry. Anyway, I'm just putting something out on Facebook so these people can come to my page. How do I do that? I'm trying to. Here we go. Sorry, I'm really sorry that I'm like this, but I'm still learning. Hang on. I probably should have done this first, but I'm learning. So anyway, I don't know when he wrote this. I guess it was, let me look at the date. Yesterday. Oh, my birthday. Yay. He wrote this letter yesterday to Nancy Pelosi about the impeachment. He didn't write this letter. Someone wrote it for him. So it's on the White House letterhead. Dear Madam Speaker, I write to express my strongest and most powerful protest against the partisan impeachment crusade being pursued by the Democrats in the House of Representatives. This impeachment represents an unprecedented and unconstitutional abuse of power by Democrat lawmakers, unequaled in nearly 2.5 centuries of American legislative history. The articles of impeachment introduced by the House Judiciary Committee are not recognizable under any standards of constitutional theory, interpretation, or jurisprudence. They include no crimes, no misdemeanors, and no offenses whatsoever. You have cheapened the importance of this very ugly word, impeachment. By proceeding with your invalid impeachment, you are violating your oaths of office, which is really laughable. You are breaking your allegiance to the Constitution, more laughable, and you are declaring open war on American democracy, hysterically funny. You dare to invoke the Founding Fathers in pursuit of the election nullification scheme, yet your spiteful actions display unfettered contempt for America's founding, and your egregious conduct threatens to destroy that which our founders pledged their very lives to build. What a fucking joke. Even worse, founding fathers, you are offending Americans of faith by oh my gosh, by continuing saying, I pray for the president, when you know the statement is not true unless it is meant in a negative sense. It is a terrible thing that you are doing. You will have to live with it, not I. Well, he doesn't believe in God. And if you think as a Christian, if you're a Christian and you actually listen to anything that I have to say, this is the proverbial wolf in sheep's clothing, and you're a moron if you keep sucking up to it and believe in it. Your first claim, abuse of power, is completely disingenuous, meritless, and baseless invention of your imagination. You know that I have totally innocent conversation with the president of Ukraine. I then had a second conversation that has been misquoted, mischaracterized, and fraudulently misrepresented. Fortunately, there was a transcript of the conversation taken, and you know from the transcript, which was immediately made available, that the paragraph in question was perfect. I said to President Zelensky, I would like you to do us a favor, though, because our country has been through a lot, and Ukraine knows a lot about it. I said, do us a favor, not me and our country, not a campaign. I'm then mentioned the Attorney General of the United States Every time I talk with a foreign leader, I put American interests first, just as I did with President Zelensky. That's fucking flat out lie. And here's the thing about that. If he really meant that, if he has done everything he can and showed them the transcript, if it was such a perfect call, why is it locked up in a secret server someplace so that nobody can get to the call? And why does he not let anybody in his cabinet or his advisors or the people that work with him on a daily? Fuck, Mick Mulvaney. Why do these people not testify? Because none of them are going to throw themselves under the bus for him. That's why. Because he's a big fat fucking liar. That's why. And because he did ask for help from President Zelensky, he did hold back funds, and people died because of this man. And maybe it doesn't make a difference to you because you don't live there. Or maybe it's because he's your guy and you want him to win. Or maybe it's because you don't like black and brown people and you can finally say the N-word freely again. I don't know. But all of that, even if you get a few extra bucks in your paycheck because of the stupid tax cuts that he did, and Nancy Pelosi is on right now. Well, she just walked away. Anyway, even if you're getting a few extra bucks in your pocket because of whatever he did with the taxes, it's not worth what this is going to do to our fucking democracy. And it's going to wreck it if the Republicans don't pull their heads out of Trump's ass, because their heads are not even up their own asses. They are up Trump's ass. They are going to so badly harm what our founding fathers tried to instill in us and build in this country that it's going to take us years, decades to fix this mess that he's made. Meanwhile, Trump has destabilized the entire fucking world and us so that China and Russia can move their agendas forward. And don't think that that's not happening. And the thing you guys need to remember is, even if you don't want him to be removed from office, you should want every piece of evidence to be told, and you should want the Republicans to do their job, because there'll be another government next time if this happens and they acquit him of this, that will be a liberal-leaning government, Iran, pardon me, that will want a president elected and want a Democratic president elected and a liberal president elected, and they'll interfere in our elections. I don't care what side of the aisle you sit on, that is not acceptable. You are turning a policy disagreement between two branches of government into an impeachable offense. It is no more legitimate than the executive branch charging members of Congress with crimes for the lawful expense of exercise of legislative power. You know full well that Vice President Biden used his office and $1 billion of U.S. Aid and money. By the way, Biden has been investigated, and there is zero evidence that he did anything wrong. The same as it took all those years of Benghazi investigation, and there's no evidence that Hillary Clinton did anything. Do I think that the men and women of the FBI and the CIA and all of our intelligence are infallible? No, but I also think that those people have more of an allegiance to the United States than this jackass does. This jackass didn't even want to win. Do you know that on election night, he didn't even have an acceptance speech written because he didn't think he was going to win, nor did he want to win. He wanted to use this as a vaulting off place for a whole nother reality show so he could make some money because the motherfucker was going broke. That's all there was. Oh my gosh, you guys have just been duped by the biggest con man in the world. And maybe it takes a salesperson like me to see through somebody like that. But holy shit, open your eyes. So you know full well that Vice President Biden used his office and $1 million in $1 billion of U.S. aid and money to coerce Ukraine into firing the prosecutor who was digging into the company, paying his son millions of dollars. It's just not true. We went over there to get rid of the guy because he was corrupt. You know this because Biden bragged about it on video. Biden openly stated, I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I looked at them and I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor is not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch, he got fired. Even Biden admitted just days ago in an interview with NPR, it looked bad. Yes, it looked bad because his son shouldn't have gotten that job. And for sure, that's part of the problem in Washington is fucking nepotism and the good old boy system of helping each other that's already in place and embedded in DC continue to prosper. That's the problem. Biden was a part of the problem. Do I want to see Joe Biden be president? No. But at this point, I would vote for a ham sandwich that had a D next to it. President Zelensky has repeatedly declared that I did nothing wrong. Well, here's the thing about that. So, yeah, if you abuse somebody or they're going to die because Russia's going to come over and fucking stomp on them, what would an abused wife say with her abusive husband standing next to her and a cop standing there? She's not going to say he hit her. That's ridiculous. That is a ridiculous. Release the call. Release the whole call. Let Mulvaney, let the Secretary of State, let all of your advisors testify, and then we'll know what really happened. But instead, you fucking don't let nobody see anything or hear anything. I have never seen a direct link between investigations and security assistance. He also said there was no pressure. Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, a supporter of Ukraine, who met privately with President Zelensky, has said at no time during this meeting was there any mention of Zelensky or any Ukrainian that they were feeling pressure to do anything in return. And I told you why that is, from military aid. Many meetings have been held between representatives of Ukraine and our country. Never once did the Ukraine complain about pressure being applied. Not once. Ambassador Sondland testified that I told him no quid pro quo. Quote, I want nothing. I want nothing. I want President Zelensky to do the right thing, do what he ran on. Because he got caught at that moment. That's why Trump said that. All of a sudden, he knew, shit, the jig is up, because he didn't think any of us were going to find this shit out. The second claim, so-called obstruction of Congress, is preposterous and dangerous. House Democrats are trying to impeach the duly elected president of the United States for asserting constitutional-based privileges that have been asserted on a bipartisan basis by administrations of both political parties throughout our nation's history. Under this standard, every American president would have been impeached many times over. As liberal law professor Jonathan Turley warned when addressing congressional Democrats, I can't emphasize this enough. If your impeachment of a president is, if you impeach a president, you make a high crime and misdemeanor out of going to the courts. It's an abuse of power. It's an abuse of power. You're doing precisely what you're criticizing the president for doing. Everyone, you included, knows what is really happening. Your chosen candidate. He just can't get over this. Lost the election in 2016. It's an electoral college landslide, 306-27. And you and your party have never recovered from this defeat. You have developed a full-fledged case of what many in the media call Trump derangement syndrome. He's fucking out of his mind. And sadly, you will never get over it. You are unwilling and unable to accept the verdict issued at a ballot box during the election of 2016. Oh, the great election of 2016. So you have spent 3 straight years attempting to overturn the will of the American people and nullify their votes. You view your democracy as your enemy. Speaker Pelosi, you admitted just last week at a public forum that your party's impeachment effort has been ongoing for 2.5 years, long before ever hearing about a phone call with Ukraine. 19 minutes after I took the oath of office, the Washington Post published a story headline. Well, that's because we knew at the very beginning that you accepted help from Russia. Russia, if you're listening, I hope you find the secret server and the 30,000 emails. Come on, dude. And they did it. And within minutes, they were hacking fucking Hillary Clinton's server. Published a story headline, the campaign to impeach President Trump has begun. Less than 3 months after my inauguration, Representative Maxine Waters stated, I'm going to fight every day until he's impeached. House Democrats indeed the first impeachment resolution, introduced the first impeachment resolution against me within months of my inauguration for what will be regarded as one of our country's best decisions, the firing of James Comey. He fired Comey because Comey wouldn't get in line with him, who the world now knows is one of the dirtiest cops our nation has ever seen. Not true. A ranting and raving, not true. Congresswoman Rashid Tlaib declared just hours after she was sworn in, we're going in there and we're going to impeach the motherfucker. Yep, that's exactly what she said, and she's allowed to say that. Representative Al Green said in May, I'm concerned that if we don't impeach this president, he will get reelected. Yup. Again, you and your allies and said and did all of the things long before you ever heard President Zelensky or anything related to Ukraine. Yes, because you were fucking around with Russia and China and North Korea and cozying up to dictators and undermining our national security, you jackass. As you know very well, This impeachment drive has nothing to do with Ukraine or the totally appropriate conversation, then release the call I had with its new president. It only has to do with your attempt to undo an election of 2016 and steal the election of 2020. That's funny because that's what he's trying to do right now. Congressman Adam Schiff cheated and lied all the way up to the present day, even going so far as fraudulently to make up out of thin air my conversation with President Zelensky. You're such an idiot. Of Ukraine. He was being a smart ass, and maybe that wasn't the best choice of things, but people are fucking exhausted, and that's exactly what you've accomplished. That helps Russia and China destabilize the rest of the planet. You idiot. Ukraine, and read this fantasy language to the Congress as though it were said by me. It's shameless lies and deceptions, which you know everything about, dating all the way back to Russia hoax, is one of the main reasons we are here today. Well, that party's got right. In Russia, it wasn't a hoax. 15 friggin' intelligence agencies agree, and all of our ambassadors know that Russia did interfere and is right now, as we speak, interfering in the next one coming up. You and your party are desperate to distract from America's extraordinary economy, which nobody in the real world is feeling. Incredible jobs boom, which is because people have to have more than one job. Record stock market, who do you know that owns stock? Soaring confidence and flourishing citizens. Who do you know that's confident and citizens that are happy right now? Our country is in fucking chaos, guys. Your party simply cannot compete with our record. 7 million new jobs because they had to have more than one. The lowest ever unemployment because they have to have more than one. For African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and Asian Americans, a rebuilt military, Space Force, a completely reformed VA, which is not helping anyone. I have friends that go to the VA, with choice and accountability for our great veterans. More than 100, they're still homeless. There are more than 170 new federal judges. All of them are fucking conservative, anti-women, anti-minority judges, which is exactly what McConnell and his fucking idiots wanted. So he did the baiting of those people. And 2 new Supreme Court judges, which were blocked by McConnell for 2 years while Obama was finishing up his term. Let me see. I'm sorry, I lost my place. And 2 new Supreme Court judges. Historic tax regulation cuts for the rich. The elimination of the individual mandate, which made my medical insurance go up. The first decline in prescription drugs prices in half a century, well, because they weren't having to cover people anymore. The first new branch of the United States military, although I don't know how cheap it is because antibiotics are still $300 if you don't have insurance. Defeated ISIS, he didn't do that. Caliphate, and the killing of the world's #1 terrorist leader, al-Baghdadi, for the 15th time, because if you just Google that guy, they thought they killed him like a million times. The replacement of the disastrous NAFTA trade deal, which the U.S., with the wonderful USMCA, which is just NAFTA with a new name on it. A breakthrough phase, 1 trade deal with China, massive new trade deals with Japan and South Korea, and withdrawal from the terrible Iran nuclear deal. Cancellation of the unfair and costly Paris Climate Accord because our planet is on fire and he doesn't give a shit. Becoming the world's top energy producer because he's got people back in the coal mines. Recognition of Israel's capital. Ooh, yippee-ki-yay. Opening the American embassy in Jerusalem. Ooh, another yippee-ki-yay. And recognizing Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights, land they stole. A colossal reduction in the illegal border crossings that Obama did, not him, and he's just taking the benefit or the credit for that. The ending of catch and release. Yeah, because now we put little kids and their parents in fucking jail. And the building of the southern border wall, which he hasn't done anything with. And that is, and so who's paying for it? Any of the fixing and repairs that are being made is coming out of U.S. tax dollars. Mexico isn't paying for that. You cannot defend your extreme priorities: open borders, mass immigration, high crime, crippling taxes, socialized healthcare, destruction of American energy, late-term taxpayer-funded abortion. That's a lie. And also, all of this right here, you cannot defeat your extreme politics. Open borders. Nobody wants open borders. Mass immigration. Nobody wants mass immigration. High crime. I don't know. I haven't really, the last time that I've had any crime committed against me was in the 70s. Crippling taxes. That's for corporations that were having to pay for their fair share. Socialized healthcare, which everybody wants. Destruction of American energy. That's fucking around with our ecology and our planet being all dirty and stuff. So he's letting them do the shit that they wanted to do before by opening up dumping things that were closed years ago. Late term taxpayer funded abortion, lies. No, that just, what is a late term abortion? Elimination of the Second Amendment. Yeah, because your guns. Radical far left theories of law and justice and constant partisan obstruction of both common sense and common good. There's nothing I would rather do than stop referring to your party as the do nothing Democrats. Unfortunately, I don't know that you'll ever give me a chance to do so. Well, then stop saying it. All you have to do is stop saying it. After 3 years of unfair and unwarranted investigations, $45 million spent, 18 angry Democratic prosecutors, people that he put into office, the entire force of the FBI, headed by leadership that he chose, now proven to be totally incompetent and corrupt, which is also a lie. You have found nothing. When they did the special investigation into the FBI, there were some mistakes made, but inherently they did nothing wrong, and they were not targeting Trump. They were targeting what Russia was doing to us. It just happened to be Trump was the candidate that Russia was supporting. He's an idiot. He just didn't think he was going to win, and he didn't think it would mean anything. You found nothing. Few people in high position could have endured or passed this test. You do not know, nor do you care, the great damage and hurt you have inflicted upon wonderful and loving members of my family. You conducted a fake investigation upon democratically elected president of the United States, and you're doing it yet again. His family is far from wonderful. There are not many people who could have taken the punishment inflicted during this period of time and yet done so much for the success of America and its citizens. But instead of putting our country first, you have decided to disgrace our country still further. This is like completely nuts and rambling, and it goes on and on. I'm not even going to read the rest of it because holy shit snacks, guys. This fucking thing is 6 pages long. He's out of his ever-loving mind. And if you're going to follow him and believe this dick, then you deserve everything you get, but don't inflict that on the rest of us.